A new episode of STEM City, and it's giving us a unique look at Houston Zoo. Joining us live to talk more about his experience at the zoo is STEM City host Dr. Owais Durrani. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Doctor, this is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love going to the zoo?
Right?
And then as a physician, I've always had these thoughts of like, I wonder what my veterinary colleagues do. And, you know, for me personally, like taking care of like babies who can't talk is difficult sometimes, right? They can't tell you what's going on. And in the vet world, that's like every patient. And then it's not one species, it's hundreds of species, different ages, and they still have to figure out what's going on, treat them, and follow up, and all of those things. And so this was really fun. Got to meet Louise, who was a tortoise. I was terrified at first, but Louise is like the chillest tortoise ever, and learned a lot about him.
Okay, let's take a look.
Welcome to STEM City from the Houston Zoo. As a doctor, I've always wondered what the parallels are between human medicine and veterinary medicine. And today we're going to find out here at the Houston Zoo, talking to a veterinarian and a vet tech. Well, Dr. Gibson, thanks so much for wanting to spend some time with us on STEM City. I think most kids and most adults would say you have a really, really cool job being a veterinarian here at the Houston Zoo. Tell me how you got that job. What did the journey look like? You know, where'd you go to college? Where'd you go to vet school? And then how you get up here?
My journey was relatively linear. So I went to Duquesne University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for an undergraduate degree. And now after 4 years there, I went on to Cornell University for veterinary school.
Okay.
That lasts another 4 years.
Okay.
And then I graduated with my DVM. After that, headed to New York City to the Animal Medical Center for a 1-year internship. Okay. Which is a rotating internship, rotating through the running group, enteromycin, surgery, and then some other specialties. And then after that 1 year, I went actually back to Cornell for my residency in zoological medicine. Finished that up. That's a 3-year residency. Finished that up and took my zoological specialty boards and started my job here at Houston.
Does everyone do a residency? Like, say you want to just take care of your household pets and work in a clinic, would you still do a residency or not really?
Yeah, so you don't have to. So upon graduating from veterinary school after 4 years from an accredited school, you are licensed to practice. So at that point, many of my colleagues went into general practice, and then really it's for specialty training that you would go on to internships and residencies after that.
Okay. And obviously you did yours in zoological studies. Are there other types of residencies you can do? What are some of them?
There sure are. So anything that you would imagine going to your own doctor for, where you might, get referred to a specialist.
So there's like a cardiologist.
Yeah, cardiologists, dermatologists, neurologists, surgeons, oncologists, internal medicine, radiology, all of those exist in the veterinary medicine world too. I think Houston is it's a really special place. We've got just an incredible team. Really, one of my goals was to be in a collaborative work environment and working with, there's 4 other veterinarians here at Houston. So I love working with other doctors who have differing opinions and talking through cases together. Really helps elevate all of our practice and working together. And the zoo really supports that. So our animal care managers are really supportive of all the medical plans. Even when we come up with something that sounds a little crazy, they're always willing to go with us on that. And I just was so inspired by really that collaboration that happens here.
Is there still a bit of, I hate to use the word improvise, but with the animals, there could be things that we wouldn't expect, just like in human medicine, but maybe a little hard because they can't talk to us, they can't tell us what's going on. Talk to me a little bit about that aspect of practicing medicine.
Yeah, absolutely. We joke all the time that we're MacGyver and things.
Yeah.
And the truth is that we're adapting so many practices from the human facility, trying to fit them into veterinary medicine.
Yeah.
So the things that are made for really the mainstream medical market are made for people. Yeah. So we're often sort of modifying, doing medical arts and crafts to make sure that, we have an appropriate splint or a cast for an animal with an injured body part, or help me utilize this laboratory result to help us inform our needs, but maybe it's completely different than the way that they use it in human medicine. So we've got lots of things that we've modified to sort of help us practice our best, but we definitely have to get creative.
Yeah. What, so you take care of, or you have the ability to take care of all the animals here. So you could take care of a reptile, a lion, a gorilla. That seems intimidating, right? Because they're all different animals and different species. How do you kind of balance, thinking about this animal versus this other one? And do you have like different gears in your brain that you just kind of shift?
Yes, totally. Yeah, a normal day could be me, I could go see a fish as my sort of first stop, and then my next stop might be elephants. And so it's kind of, you've got to rewire your brain. I use sort of the walk or drive to the next enclosure to quickly kind of switch my thinking.
Yeah.
But we're really trained to see the similarities between species as well. So having just a really strong medical foundation and biological foundation in your brain can really help you apply concepts across species.
Yeah. And do you do surgery as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do. Well, basic surgeries, and some veterinarians prefer to do surgery more than others, but they're all trained in it. So we do perform surgeries here, and then for things that are maybe a little bit more complicated, or that we'd like, personally, if we'd like more training on it, we have consultants that will come in, so veterinary surgeons that will come in and donate their time to us to help us with some of our trickier cases, and we often kind of scrub it together and tackle the case as a team, which is really great.
Really cool. Do you have a favorite animal to work with and a favorite procedure or kind of interaction?
It's such a hard question for me because I would usually just say that my favorite animal is whatever I'm working on. I love really just the diversity of it, and I just tend to get really, really involved in whatever it is that I'm doing right then. So it changes all the time. I definitely have a soft spot for anything that swims. So yes, anything from fish to marine mammals.
So I'm coming from the human medicine side of things. I see a lot of things around here that are familiar to me. So just kind of go through a list of things, and you can kind of, tell me it's way different than human medicine.
Oh, sure.
So IVs, like an animal with fur. How do you find a baby?
Great question. Yeah. Usually I call a vet tech and say, help. But really what we do is we rely on the innate so that we know where the vein should be. And then if there's fur, we'll often have to use little clippers to shave the area and get a good view of it. If there's feathers, we might have to pluck. And then if there's scales, we usually just kind of work in between them depending on whatever that animal is.
What about intubation? Like putting an animal on a breathing machine to do a procedure or help with their breathing? I imagine you guys do that. Is that something you do? And is it considered a high-risk procedure? Tell me about that in the animal world.
Sure, yeah. We intubate things very routinely. Intubating a snake looks very, very different from intubating a gorilla. And then there's some animals that breathe completely differently, like fish.
Yeah.
So we don't intubate fish because they don't have lungs. So we'll use sort of a different mechanism with water flow to help make sure that they're actually exchanging gases appropriately when they're anesthetized.
What's something that, visitors may come here and it's not obvious, I wish they could get a little more attention to that thing, but that's really unique and deserves more of a spotlight.
Yeah, for sure. I would say definitely spend some time in our reptile building.
Okay.
Get a peek in there. And I would say spend some time actually at the aquarium section in the Galapagos, our One Ocean exhibit. So many different types of fish, each of which have their own personality if you pay close attention. So it can be really interesting to watch those species and how they interact with each other as well as their environment. And then I would also say talk to the keepers and the other staff that you see at the zoo, because they are just a wealth of knowledge and they can tell you so much about each individual animal, like what's its name, what's its favorite type of food, what's its personality like, and you might not get that information from just looking yourself.
College, vet school, internship, residency. It's a really long road. Usually, I imagine there were times you were maybe sleepy and really tough.
Yes.
Advice for someone who like maybe is about to embark on that journey or is in the middle of that journey?
Yeah, I think for me, it was just leaning over my passion.
Yeah.
So I knew it was what I wanted to do, and it can be really hard to keep things in perspective when you can't quite see the light at the end of the tunnel. So for me, it was really important to immerse myself in activities outside of the classroom that really helped me maintain sort of that ultimate goal in my head and in the forefront. So getting involved in local conservation efforts or reaching out and trying to do some work abroad during the summers can really help, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Very advised. Well, I think we're going to examine the tortoise now if they're on this exam table, so I'm super excited to do that.
Yeah, I'm also happy for you to meet them.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
This is Louise.
Okay.
Louise is actually a male gopher tortoise.
Okay.
His name.
So what are y'all doing with Luis today?
So Louise is just due for his annual wellness exam. So that's much like you or I would go to the doctor just for a checkup.
Yeah.
That's actually what's going on with Louise today. So to get a good look in your eyes, we'll use this up down the scope, and that can help us get a view into the fundus of a tortoise's eye, which actually looks quite different than a human eye. So one of the things we learn in veterinary school is about anatomical similarities and differences between different species. So for a tortoise, and you're welcome to take a look.
Yeah.
They actually have a avascular, meaning no vessels in their fundus, and they have a structure called a conus capillaris. It's basically their nutrient and vascular supply to the back of the head. Louise has some sort of old kind of like flaking, and the shell is just made up of keratin, which is essentially the same thing that makes up our hair of our nails. It's just a different form of keratin.
Now, like for a tortoise, would you listen to their heart, or is it something you can't really do? Or
yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So their heart is really quite secure inside their body. So you can use your imaginoscope. Their heart would basically be at this level.
Okay.
And it's all the way protected by this shell. So what we actually use is a Doppler.
Okay.
And this will help us get a heart rate. There's a couple of different places you could draw blood. Some of them are better than others because a lot of the places that are available are actually sinuses, so they'll be contaminated with lymph.
Yeah.
And that can really affect our blood values. So we try to go for the purest blood sample that we can get, which typically is from the jugular.
Okay.
So that's usually our go-to. So you can see the fill is kind of slow, and that's just based on that heart rate that we heard before, which was probably around 40. So the fill is just going to be a little bit slower.
That is super cool. Thanks for showing us. And like I said, I'm just super shocked at how cooperative he is, and I was expecting him to try to bite off y'all's fingers. That did not happen, so that's a good thing. Okay, thanks so much for joining us on STEM City. You are a vet tech here at the Houston Zoo. Tell me what that means.
Vet techs here kind of have an essential part in the medical care of animals. We kind of help with different parts of examinations. A lot of our animals here at the zoo have to be anesthetized for us to get a good look at them. So the vet techs are the ones administering anesthesia, the sedative, and then monitoring the anesthesia. Get them either injected or masked down, and then we'll kind of monitor their vitals. Also, we're collecting samples, so we'll do the blood collection. We'll also do various injectables. We'll place IV catheters, get fluids going. We're also responsible for taking radiographs. We also run our own lab work here at the Houston Zoo. So we have our own fully functioning lab.
That's a lot of responsibility. It's like in the human world, we always have like one person that does each one of those things. But
Exactly.
like for you, you're like doing all of them. How do you become a vet tech?
I got a 4-year degree at Texas State University in wildlife biology. I kind of always had a passion for animals. I actually started out as a zookeeper. I really wanted that hands-on care of the animals. Then I got a part-time job at a vet clinic.
Okay.
I just really fell in love with the medical side of things. So then I went back to school while I was working and got my associate's degree in veterinary technology. Then I had to take a national licensing exam at the state.
Really cool. And do you have to have the 4-year college degree to get the associate's?
No, you can go directly to an associate's.
Okay. And that's about 2 to 3 years? Okay. Once you get that, you obviously have a really cool job. You get to work at the Houston Zoo, but you can also work in a clinic is what you were saying.
Yeah.
What other settings can you use that training?
Yeah, so there's different specialties. So you can specialize in strictly anesthesia. There's specialty veterinary dental clinics. So if you're really passionate about dentistry, you can be like just focus on dentistry. There's eye clinics, so that's your specialty. So there's various specialties. There's critical care for animals. Rehabilitation, so kind of all the specialties you would think of for humans, they have for animals. So vet techs can do all those specialties as well.
Really cool. And then you mentioned you were a zookeeper too. How did you become a zookeeper? Obviously that's not what you do now, but I'm just curious.
A lot of zookeepers also have degrees in various degrees of biology, but I started getting internships when I was in college, so I did various types of internships. And then when I was graduating college and I applied for zoo, having that prior experience really helped me get that job.
Really cool. Now, when you were studying to become a vet tech, were there, I'm guessing, can you talk about some of the science courses that you took? Like, do you take chemistry?
Yeah.
Talk more about
So a lot of my basics were taken in my 4-year degrees.
Okay.
Right? Kind of like your basics, like chemistry and whatnot. But then specifically for vet tech, you're going to have a lot of anatomy. We also, as part of vet tech, we work in a pharmacy. So the doctors who will write the prescriptions, but we're the ones filling and dispensing it. So kind of course on pharmacy. We do lab work here. So we had courses in evaluate lab works and kind of like just the science behind all the processes of that. And then like I said, monitoring anesthesia. So you're learning like the parameters and the effects those drugs have.
I am like amazed. You're a pharmacist, an anesthesiologist, a dentist, all of the above. What was something, obviously kind of looking from the outside in, it seems like there's so many things to do. What was something you didn't expect when you got this job?
I think really thinking outside the box. So if you think of like dog and cat, there's like medical supply companies that will provide, say, like a face mask to administer gas. But they don't have that for, say, a gorilla or a lion. So, like, we have to be very creative. So, for example, here, the face mask we use is like a 5-gallon water jug, and it's 1.5, and then we use like scuba material to kind of be that like gasket. So what we ended up with is this giant mask that we can put over a lion's face if we need a little bit more gas anesthesia before we could intubate them for their procedure. So I think a lot of it is really just thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
I mean, we do everything. We do surgeries on like the tiniest of like fish or toads up to lions and gorillas, elephants.
Yeah. What's your favorite animal to interact with or work on?
That is a tough question. I get asked that a lot, and I feel like it changes, but I feel like my default always goes to the chimps.
Okay.
Which can sometimes not be a popular opinion, but I like them just because they're so smart.
Yeah.
And interactive, and I really like the chimps.
Do you have a favorite like procedure you get to do or help with on a particular animal?
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, it's fun doing some of our larger animals, like our great apes, like our gorillas. It's really cool when you get to see them of that up close and you realize like how big they are.
Just kind of looking back, big picture, obviously, going to college and then to vet tech school, that I'm sure there were stressful moments, even studied for various tests and whatnot. What kind of got you through all of that stuff?
I think just kind of thinking of my long-term goals and just the passion for the animals. And like I said, I studied hard. I think having the hands-on experience really helped. Like I said, I was working full-time at the vet clinic while I was in school, so I think being able to have that hands-on experience while learning it like really helped me. And just knowing that I'm helping animals is really great.
So the really cool thing about zoos is that we get to come here and learn, and there's a really positive message to a lot of those things. Anything stand out to you that a kids here or a parents here that maybe you think is important that they kind of pay attention to?
Yeah, the Houston Zoo, one of their main priorities is conservation. So a lot of the work we're doing here at the zoo is directly affecting animals in the wild. We partner with so many people throughout the world. They've become our conservation partners. So we have various opportunities to either go out and work with them in their country, but a lot of times they're coming here. Coming up soon, we'll have one of our gorilla doctors from Rwanda come and visit us. And he'll just kind of see how we do things here. We also participate in a lot of research projects because we're able to get these samples from animals, whether it's a blood sample or a fecal sample, that can help researchers tie in different issues that are happening out in the wild. So one of the things that really drew me here is Houston Zoo's conservation program. I think that's really important for our guests to know that when they come here, they are helping save animals in the wild.
Well, thanks so much for spending some time with us. Once again, super impressed that, like in the human world, it's like, oh, the phlebotomist can take care of that, or the anesthesiologist, but you guys have to know it all and then across all these species. So really, really admire what you do, and thanks for spending some time with us.
Yeah, thank you.